Most people believe that spirit and soul are the same thing, that they are basically different terms for the same reality. That spirit is the soul which lives forever and basically is created by God but is not destroyed and enjoys either reward at the end of a lifetime or punishment for an eternity, either one. And most people do not believe in reincarnation. So the idea of the soul is basically an attachment to an individual, or is that individual in a lifetime. And based on how that person lived, they will be rewarded and punished for their actions in this world. And there are many who believe that even if you were a good person, if you did not follow the right religion, if you did not believe in God, then your soul can still be tortured forever in hell. Or, there's a lot of people who believe that even if you're not their religion, your soul will be rewarded if you acted correctly in life. But that is a very accurate description of many people's idea of the soul, but they do not make a distinction between soul and spirit. Now, I don't believe the soul is either punished or rewarded after one life forever. Now, I think, because I believe in reincarnation, that the soul has a very long journey of personal evolution. It observes, it is attached to different egos, and after many, many lifetimes, it learns this or that lesson. Starting out with the basics, it might become a stone, eventually it might become an animal, then it might become a human, and if that human does terrible things to other people, it might go down in evolution, and if that person does good things for other people and tries to liberate themselves from materiality and material desire, then it increases the evolution of its progress. Now, this is my belief of the soul. I don't believe that after one life it's either rewarded or punished forever. I think that there are rewards between lifetimes, or punishments between lifetimes, whatever you are due based on your actions during the lifetime just before. But I think the ultimate destination of the soul is to become one with the source, with God, to meld back into that from which it came. And we see examples of this in nature. Rain falling after it evaporates and goes into clouds, falls onto a mountain, a hill, the ground, and flows back into the water source from, maybe not the exact one from which it came, but all water sources eventually lead to the ocean. And God is the ocean for soul, basically. And the spirit, however, the spirit is more to do with life force. The life force that animates our bodies. The life force that every human being has a certain amount of at the start of a life. And based on if you preserve that life force, some people can even enhance it, or if you spend it recklessly through constant materiality and desire, that basically dictates how long you live, or how long you enjoy life even. And the spirit, while it keeps us alive, while it keeps the soul attached to a single point in time because that body is still alive, we have to understand that it being a life force does not make it eternal. It makes it very limited. Now, you might say, okay, what about the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit is a part of God, isn't it? And that's true. The Holy Spirit, the Holy Life Force, is infinite. And we don't all get portioned off a large amount of it. And even those who open themselves up to it constantly aren't going to live forever. Just because the Holy Spirit fills them, it does not mean that they will have a body that is always replenished by it, not preserved by it, but filled with it at times to experience God, to experience the original source and infinite source of life. And the spirit being the life force itself makes it more attached to the ego, because it's very much attached to points in time. where it is, how much it has left in order to give for somebody to live, and and because of this attachment to a certain time and to a certain individual, uh, being a certain amount given to each individual, then it can be commandeered by the ego. When the ego commandeers spirit, when the ego uses the last remnant of life force that a person had before they died, especially if they died too soon, then the spirit can be used to maintain, some would call a ghost. The ego can commandeer spirit. I'll say once again, the ego can commandeer spirit in order to form a ghostly existence. Now, nothing can hold the soul back. The soul being held back in any way from basically evolving, as I believe, experiencing rewards or punishments in between lives until bad or good karma is burned off, and coming back here to finish up lessons until ultimate liberation is achieved. Or if you don't believe in reincarnation and you believe the soul has one lifetime, do you really think the soul can stop its reward or punishment from coming? And why would the system of life and death be so flexible for stubborn egos or stubborn individuals? The truth is, it wouldn't be. So we have to understand that the soul moves on, but the ego, our individuality, separate from our soul, and our soul is something we can feel. Our soul is something that we're a part of if we're very attuned to the deepest part of ourselves. But the ego, the perception we have related to time and mind, that is what basically continues its existence as a ghost, if it can commandeer spirit, if there is spirit to commandeer, or if it is strong enough to commandeer spirit. And I don't really know how long ghosts can last, but I know that spirit and ego can become one and prolong a life in an ethereal form. But this life cannot hold a soul back. A soul cannot be held back from its course, from its furthering or lessening based on its actions previously. Now, I could talk about the difference between an ego's actions and a soul being punished for those actions, and how they're not always the same thing, especially if the karma is immediate. Sometimes the identity, the ego, is what is punished, and the soul just observes and records. But that's a different conversation. In conclusion, the spirit and the soul are two different things. They exist side by side while somebody is alive, but they can be used as different parts of reality. If an ego is not only strong enough, but attached enough to this world to where it can't move on, it can't become a part of the mind of God, or a part of different realities where egos can exist separate from souls, if it's more of a negative ego, then it will move on if it's not strong enough, and if it's not bound by materiality. But if it is very much attached, then it will remain here. It can remain here, and it can inhabit what we would call a ghost. It can inhabit an existence that is alongside our own, very close to our dimension, just on the other side, though, to where it doesn't have absolute existence here. And of course, its materiality has long since perished, so it doesn't have a body. It doesn't have the same corporeality that somebody who has remained alive does. So, I hope that you've learned a few things about ghosts and the spirit and soul, because this isn't all I know about these things, but it is a good bit, just based on my experience, my study, and what I like to call my knowledge. And you can decide the wisdom part for yourself. But this is the conclusions that I've come to, and this is just a summary. This isn't all that I know on the subject. But I hope that this summary has helped you. And if you disagree, feel free to shoot comments down there. If you agree, feel free to shoot comments down there. And I'd love a like. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.